Race ratings are all the rage, but toss-up, tilting, leaning, maybe falling, likely, solid, what does it all mean? Sometimes all the terms remind me of that old V8 commercial. So I thought it could be beneficial to explain how we do what we do. First of all, where did ratings even come from? Well, a few folks such as Kevin Phillips and Alan Barron dabbled with ratings going back to the late 70s, the first person to make ratings a regular feature was Charlie Cook back in April of 1984. Stu Rothenberg followed suit in the Rothenberg Political Report a few years later, and the rest is history. Now, it seems like everyone does ratings. I can't speak to how everyone else does it, but I can talk about how we do it at Inside Elections. But before I disclose the secret sauce, it might be helpful to talk about how we don't do it. And it's an excuse to play some movie clips. It's not a magic potion or spell.
Wingardium Leviosa. Stop.
It's not a specific equation.
That's it.
And it's definitely not from Twitter. The reality is that it's usually just me in a darkened room with a six-pack of Mountain Dew listening to melodic death metal from Sweden. Okay, that's not quite right either. There's no darkened room, and I'm trying to cut back on the Mountain Dew. In reality, there are many key ingredients to race ratings, including past election results, district demographics, including partisanship, race, and education, open seat versus incumbent race, challenger quality, incumbent strength, fundraising and outside spending, district-specific polling, national political environment, and any unique dynamics, such as someone getting indicted, hypothetically. When it comes to race ratings, I think there are a few key points that might be helpful. We don't have a specific formula, and factors are weighted differently in our analysis throughout the cycle. For example, early on, ratings are reflecting past election results, demographics, and incumbent strength. But as the cycle progresses, candidate quality and fundraising matters more. And at the end of the race, it's almost all about district or state-specific polling. Ratings are meant to evaluate a party's likelihood of winning and not an attempt to predict the margin. For example, in 2018, we never had the Texas Senate race any more competitive than likely Republican. Not because we didn't think Beto O'Rourke could get close, but that ultimately he couldn't get enough votes to win against Ted Cruz. Ratings are a combination of where a race stands and where it's headed. If ratings were a mere reflection of current polling, then there wouldn't be any need for ratings. We try to look at the important factors and project where the race is most likely to end up on Election Day. For example, in Tennessee, Democrat Phil Bredesen was leading Republican Marsha Blackburn in the polls in mid-September of 2018, but we never made the rating any more competitive than lean Republican, and Blackburn won by more than 10 points. Sometimes that look ahead also means not changing ratings with every burp and hiccup of a race. I'd rather wait and identify the trend of the race than bounce it back and forth a bunch of times. And we do have a unique tilt category, which is an attempt to not throw a bunch of races into toss-up, but instead try and identify at least a slight edge for one party. Finally, ratings are not set in stone. One of the worst things we can do as handicappers is to put a rating on a race a year or more from an election and be stubborn and never move it. As the cycle evolves, so will our race ratings. Well, there you have it, a look behind the ratings curtain. Now, if you don't mind, I need a break. But before I disclose the secret sauce, the teleprompter is not going where it should. That'll be in the outtakes.